Hey guys, it's Mel. I got a request, and I'm just going to be zooming in for a minute. I got a request to show how I paper piece. So I thought maybe we could recreate this card that I made, and I showed you guys yesterday in a video. So hopefully, if all goes well, I'm going to attempt that. So I'll start with and you can see this trick in person with the Cuttlebug trick that I told you yesterday on the video. Not Cuttlebug, Spellbinder. This is a Spellbinder die, and it's dirty. It's got little pieces in it, but which won't bother what we're doing. But basically what I said was, I don't have a layering oval die or an oval set that would fit inside of here. And unless you want it all one color, and then that would look kind of funny if you stamped your image right on your pattern paper, or you'd have to do it just all white, which is okay, but I wanted to match like with the coordinating paper. So what you do to make do with what you have is you take, and this will work with pretty much any shape Spellbinder. So if you just have the one set, so say you have the heart circles and you lay that on, you could trace the circle and cut the circle just the same way as I'm going to do it. So like I showed you, what I started with, this is the Cutitude little sassy girl from Pure Innocence. You can get her at mftstamps.com. One of my favorite websites. So I stamped her on here and pretty much colored her up. I only did her skin, her hair, and I did her little tights and her shoes. But you can even go as far, and we'll get to that when I do the paper piercing, is to even do her shoes. So I basically colored her out, and like you see, I left some white, around to give room for my Spellbinder. And then you just take your Spellbinder die and you just layer, get it to where she's the way you like her in there. Sometimes people cut, the body off or whatever if they only have a certain Spellbinder, but this one fits, so we're just going to go with that. So what I basically do is I lay it in straight where I want it, and you can even take a piece of washi tape if you don't trust your, your straightness or whatever, because it may move. And then you just take this, and this is just a Sharpie permanent marker. I don't know if you can see that, but it just has a really fine tip. It doesn't, anything you have really, you could even do a pencil and then erase it, when you're done. So you just take your pen and just go around the inside layer, just close as you can, and make sure you don't go out, line obviously, and trace around. So that's what I did. So that's where we started. And then basically all you're going to do is you cut around it. So you can either choose to cut that line completely off. I leave mine on because I'm going to ink it, but you can either cut it off if you don't like the looks of it, or like I said, you could do it in pencil and then just go ahead and erase it. And you don't have to be perfect with this. I like to just cut this, get it out of my way, and then I just kind of finish trimming all the way around. So nothing fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect, because especially when you ink it, it kind of, sorry if I'm doing this off camera, when you ink it, it kind of blends in anyway, even if you don't cut quite so straight. But it's basically a way to give you the, let's see. Okay, so as you see, she's not perfect, but it's, it'll do. And what I did was I just took my Studio G, got this for 50 cents just this week at Joann's. It was in like the Christmas, and I don't know why, because why this teal has to do with Christmas. But I just take it right to ink to page for this, because they're so small, and just kind of blend in around. And that kind of helps blend in, because this one I did a particularly messy, of course, because I'm on camera. Pretty messy cut job, but like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, and you won't see it as much once it's layered on your, with your piece. So that's all I did. It's going around the edges. We'll put that away for now, and then you have your shape. So then I just went, and the pattern paper I used is from the Lime Twist. Let's see, what's the name of this one? Does it say it here? But this is one, Lime Twist, Life of the Party. And I can't show you what page I used. It's basically this one, because I used both of them, because there's only 2 of each pattern. But this is what it looks like, and it's Life of the Party by My Mind's Eye. Is a little 6x6 sheet. And then I just cut it out, just plain, didn't emboss, just cut it right out. And this is the side I'm using, because this is the same pattern we're going to cut out our dress. So basically all we're going to do now is put our ATG on. Doesn't have to be fancy. You could even pop dot this up, but this one's going to go in the mail, so I'm going to try to keep this one, not too crazy so the machines don't eat it up. So see, it's not, perfect cut around, but then you have your little, your layer without having to have that oval die. So just a way, like I said, this will work with a lot of your spellbinder dies if you don't have that many, because I didn't start out with that many either. So once we have that, we're going to work on our card base, and what I'm using is from AC Moore. These were on sale, might even still be, 2 for $5. They're not my favorite because they're not as thick as I prefer paper tray ink, but I wanted to have they come with matching envelopes, so that's why I use this one. So what I basically did for this is I had a piece of, it's like a subtle, this was from a pack from Tuesday morning, but it's like a pink polka dot. And then I was going to use, you can see on the back, this was like a shimmery pink paper, but I didn't like it. I didn't like how it went with the card, so I flipped it over, and I actually ended up liking it a lot better. So I embossed it with the honeycomb with that part coming up, and all I did was I lined these two pieces, and you see they're not straight, and they don't have to be because we're going to add a ribbon to there. But what I basically did with the one that I embossed is kind of lightly take one of your little ink pads and just lightly, don't press too hard because you'll get the shape of the circle, the shape of the circle from your ink pad. And it's not perfect, but you know, it's okay. And it's okay if it gets thicker in some points. I think it adds to like the rustic look of things, and you know, I like that. So then it just kind of makes it pop a little bit. So that's all I did there with the ink. So you just close up your ink. Actually, I went around all the edges. Just a really quick, you don't have to be real neat with it. Just go around all your edges. Just kind of ties everything in together. Okay, so we'll put that ink away for now. And then basically, I'm going to adhere this to our card base. So again, this was just the two papers matched together, and you don't have to worry about getting them too straight. You know, try to get them pretty decent, but we're going to cover it with our band of little burlap ribbon I'm going to show you in a minute. And then I just cut it a little bit smaller than this card. I didn't measure. A little bit smaller than the card, so it gives a little bit of the edges on the side, so it kind of gives like a layered look. Whoops, I messed up. We were supposed to put this here. See why I can't do things on videos? I wonder if I can get this up. I may be able to. Well, that never usually happens, so well, that's a nice thing. Well, before you adhere that, this is why I do it first, and I'll make the mistakes, and then you guys can practice it with the, you know, learn from my mistakes. So then you just want to add your ribbon on, and that's why I said it doesn't have to be super straight, your part here. And I glued it to my table. Oh, what a mess. We'll move that out of there. So then you just basically, I'm going to add some more adhesive here. Yours isn't going to be as messy as this because you're not going to make the same mistakes I do. Learn from me. Let me put a little bit more right here. I don't think that's even coming off. Okay, so this is probably going to make it stick to my, it's not too bad. Alright, so let's try this again. I'm just going to add a little more adhesive because half it probably came off during the move. Luckily that came off because you guys know with this ATG gun, usually that doesn't happen. It's not a smooth transaction. Okay, so then we're going to try this again. So now we're just going to lay it down this, you know, as straight as you can. And then you're going to have your base of your card. So then basically she's going to lay up on here, and then we'll do our sentiments, but we're not going to adhere her down yet. And here's our little embellishments. So we're almost finished. So then what I did was I used this, the honeycomb Cuttlebug folder, that the same one I did for that came with this little piece. So see, it comes with the big honeycomb, and then it comes with the little one. And I just ran, this was a piece of paper tray ink. I don't know if it's called blush. So I just ran that in, and I trimmed it up a little and made it into like a banner. So I'm going to have that there. Here's the other one so we can show you. As like the layered base. And then I use my paper, and we'll do that second. But here's the paper piecing part. Okay, so what I basically do, and this was for Tracy, I think it's McElwee. I think if I'm reading that right, I'm probably pronouncing your name wrong. But Tracy asked if I could show how I paper piece. So what I basically do is I stamp the image out once here, and I don't bother coloring the parts that I know I'm going to paper piece. And this is where I was saying you could even do her shoes if you wanted to, but I'm not going to do all that, you know, but you could fussy cut them out. So what I basically do is a rough draft, stamp her onto, this is just the scrap. See, this is where my spellbinder was. I stamp her on, and her hair didn't come out perfect because I didn't really ink it there. I only inked it where I knew I was going to do that. So I'm basically going to cut this piece and cut this piece just to give me something smaller to work with. And you're basically going to trim out your paper piecing area. And what I did for this is I even went and trimmed out her little fingers. You don't have to do this if you want to use... if you wanted to use a like X-Acto knife, if that's easier for you. But I have these little, these are, what are these called? Bumblebee, something cutter bee scissors, and I'm probably not even in frame. But you're basically going all the way around. You feel bad because you're cutting her little head, but we don't need that piece. We already have her head. So I go around like this, and then I go in and trim out the little neckline. And you're basically just cutting. Sorry, this is so boring. But you're basically just going to trim out just the piece that you want. And even though this might seem tedious, it's kind of worth the work the way it looks at the end. You could even do different color pattern paper tights if you wanted to. I just colored mine in a light blue color. But see how I cut out the one finger hole on that side? And I'm going to do the same for this because you don't want our hands to be green polka dot. That would look a little silly. So just basically trimming this out here. Okay. And then you can go and just move your pieces out of the way. So basically all you're going to do, and you can pop this up if you choose to, it'll fit right on exactly on top. See that? And then you could either glue her on, or you could use even dimensionals and make just her dress pop out. Sometimes just one, like if you did the flower, you could paper piece the flower and just have the flower pop up. Sometimes that makes a difference on the card too. But for mine, I just did mine straight, and we're going to see if I can get my glue working over here. Let me get one, I'll grab one of my pens to use. So that's really the gist of it. And you can do really paper piece any part of the stamp. You just stamp it onto your pattern paper, and there we get this glue out. You stamp it onto any pattern paper that you want, you know, and you can use just the smallest scraps because you see this doesn't take much. You don't have to worry about even if it's smaller than the actual stamp, as long as you have enough to do that little area that you're going to be paper piecing. So you just put that on. And I use Beacon 3-in-1 glue. You could use your 2-way glue stick, the Zig. And see, there you have her little dress. So that's how you paper piece. I'm going to be doing one, maybe I'll do a video on that where it's the same little girl, but she's sitting on like a recliner, and I want to paper piece the recliner. So maybe you'll get to see it again on there. But like I said, you could even do her shoes, the flower in her hair. So I'm going to adhere this down, just so it stops moving around on us. And Mindy, I have yet to do that trick. I was going to try to do it, and then we didn't have any olive oil. Mindy was nice enough to do a video, and I don't know why. I think I have the squeakiest, unless one of you want to challenge me. But I think I have the squeakiest ATG gun, and she said that she showed me, was nice enough to do a video and show me how she got hers to not squeak so much. And she basically just used a Q-tip and some olive oil and like the gears. So I definitely need to try that, but I was out of olive oil. So I think we have some now. So this I'm going to trim off at the end. And then what I basically do, because I use all my scraps here. So see, this is now the piece I used twice already. I used my stamped image, cut her out, my Spellbinders, cut her out. Now I'm going to use this little piece right here to create this banner here. So let's cut that out. You could probably use a paper trimmer and you'll get a straighter result. But this is just really as a tutorial to show you guys. So what I basically do, if you don't have a banner die, and I think this is too thick. I think I want to trim this down a little bit. Let's trim this down one more dot size. Okay. See, I'm not exact. I don't like to measure, as you guys know me. So is that still too big? Let's trim another layer off. See, it's kind of like trial and error. You see, you lay it down, see how it looks. That's how I work anyway. Okay, that's better. So it's more proportionate. Then if you don't have the banner die, all I do, if you haven't seen this little trick to get the end, I just, starting at the corner, you completely diagonal, you snip to the center on this side, and then you snip to the center on this side, line it up in the corner, and then you have your little fishtail banner. I don't know if you can see that. So that's just an easy way to do your fishtail. And then I basically just layered this here. But before I do that, we're going to use